Hello everyone, this is Thomas Pepin, NHL Talk. I'm Thomas Pepin, and let's play some NHL. So continuing the franchise mode series where I've taken over the Toronto Maple Leafs, we're on Season 8, Episode 6 in the off-season. We started the off-season with a few moves, offering contracts to coaches and things like that. Still have a boatload more to do. An update. So at the end of last stream, I started thinking about a different attack to some things. And so I didn't come to any conclusions, but I adjusted my list of players that I was targeting. And so there might be some differences in what I do and when I do it. I'm not decided. It's just that I've changed kind of, or I might be changing my plan of attack. I'm not sure entirely with everything. One thing I wanted to do was review some of the guys that I picked up here. That's one guy, two guys, three guys, and I think that's it. So basically, to kind of summarize what I was debating on, so the original plan was to keep these guys for the last year of their contract and then trade them. Now, I don't know if their trade value is going to decrease because they're on an expiring contract. Now, they would still have RFA status, which would mean that whoever would acquire them would have control. So it's more or less the same thing as them being under contract. So if there's a change in trade value, I think it's negligible. I've never tracked it or specifically looked at it, but that's just my assumption. So that was the original plan, and the thing I'm debating is if these guys are not going to be on the team, why am I giving them ice time over guys that are going to be staying? And it's, yes, you would, by keeping them and playing them, you would have a better team. So, for example, Gomez is a guy we're getting rid of, Ollie. Both are pretty high overall. Two of our top five, well, Gomez is kind of tied, but guys on our team, and so they should play up in the lineup, but the problem is then you've got other guys that should also be up in the lineup, and you're stealing their opportunities. And if they're staying with us, which in some cases we don't know, so like as an example, Chiarelli, once he comes up for extension at the end of the year, we don't know how he's going to pan out. So I mean, it could be for nothing, but some number of these guys that we're going to be looking at extending, so Judry, Martins, Chiarelli, I guess it's just those three, but if we're going to be keeping them, it's better that they get ice time, develop, and become better players. They would, or I should say the guys that we would trade would get ice time elsewhere. It's kind of besides the point because we're not going to use them. And if they get ice time with us, they might develop. It's just that it's taking away from other guys that could be developing. So that's where previously the strategy was to keep them and then trade them. But now I'm debating on if I should trade them for guys that either will eventually play for us, so guys that we can send to junior, or guys that we can get that can play for us immediately. So, anyways, and the other thing I was kind of considering is if people are on expiring contracts, it's not really any different than the guys that we currently have. So, for example, if we traded Ollie for an equivalent guy, let's say making $4.5 million, and they've got 1 year left, just like Ollie. Well, yes, they might ask for a massive raise like Ollie's asking for, or they could be wanting a reasonable contract. We won't know unless we have the guy. So why not just get the guy, and then if they want something unreasonable, then we trade them either right away or later. So it's no more risky to trade for a guy that's got an expiring contract than to keep a guy that's got an expiring contract and wants too much. Now, if you've got a guy that's an expiring contract and they and you don't know what they want, well, I mean, that can't happen. So because it's either you know that they want to extend at a reasonable amount or they're not going to extend at a reasonable amount and they want too much. So it's just you're trading for the chance of a good contract, and you're getting rid of somebody that's already known that it's not going to be a good contract. So what's the point in keeping what you have? So anyway, so some things I'm balancing, I don't know necessarily. So it's the balance of getting rid of high-end players and maybe taking a step back versus keeping them and maybe not getting a guy that we could sign long-term. So it's a difficult balance, basically. Now, what was I going to do first? Okay, so there was one guy on the list based on that information that I was going to go for sure, which is Kiveharu. So, two-way defender like I wanted. Well, that or offensive forward. Good poise. Problem is expiring contract. Now, 4.4, and this was his first extension, whatever it was before, I don't know, but and we don't know the personality, which I don't know necessarily that it's relevant because we've had, so a great example is a guy that we just offered an extension to. It said that he wasn't loyal. I forget the exact wording of it. Where was he here? Valcourt. So it said that he wasn't loyal, and yet he's quite possibly, and I would say even likely, going to sign a reasonable contract, whereas Groslo was apparently I don't know, it was like consummate professional or something like that, and he's asking for like some stupid amount, like 10 million or more, I can't remember. So I don't know if necessarily the personality thing is accurate and as a result relevant. So I'm starting to, I'm basically going to, for the most part, disregard it. If it says that somebody's bad, then I'm just going to not go for them. But if it says something like they care about winning, but they're not loyal, well, they care about winning. So that means we might still be, if you just take it logically, they might still want to sign with you because you're a winning team. So anyway, so I think I'm going to only partially consider the character assessment, and more so can just take a look at the player and how good they are in their line fit, which that tends to be accurate, it seems, where if it tells you that they're going to fit on a certain line, generally speaking, they will, and you can kind of estimate what kind of lines they're going to fit on based on the guys that fit on your team. So, for example, if you have a guy on your team that fits well on line 2, and then, or that's their best line, and then they also fit on line 3 and 4, and you know when you traded for them it said line fit was line 2, then you know in all likelihood the other guy that you're going to trade for will also fit on line 3 and 4 or whatever. So anyway, so I'm trying to, without testing it to any crazy degree, I'm trying to outsmart just from experience what the information that the game gives us and what's actually true and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, so we're going for this guy. I don't know if I can extend him at a reasonable cap hit, but he's a rare defenseman, one of our rare defensemen we can't keep because he wants too much, so let's grow low. He didn't even perform well enough to ask for $10 million, so it's just ridiculous. But yeah, since we can't keep him, we might as well try with somebody else instead. So we've got Nyquist, Provorov, David, we just picked up, Hronik. So that's 4D, Valcor 5. So that basically means that Grow Low and Dursey are expendable. Sorry, one sec. Sorry, I just got to pause 1 sec. I just got an important message I was waiting for, so just bear with me. Well, not actually pausing, but just muting for a sec. All right, back. So yeah, anyways, we have 5D that we're keeping. We trade for this guy, that's 6, and then we only need to sort out a depth defenseman. So, and hopefully this guy extends with us. We'll know immediately after the trade if he's reasonable or not. But yeah, the question is, what do we trade? Well, we have to. Actually, both we pretty much have to trade. What's the trade value like? I think 1-for-1's actually going to work. So I'm going to try to get more if I can. Third. Oops. of this. Well, I guess 1-for-1's the best we can do. We will go save right away. Now, what is he asking for? He says he wants to extend, hopefully for a reasonable amount. 5.4. What was his performance like again? 20. See, like, he's even better than Grollo, and he's asking for like $3 million less, even like if you bring him for the whole 8 years. It's just nuts. Doesn't have much experience, but anyways, I'm okay with that. The question is his expiration status, no matter what is UFA. So we might as well try to lock him up long term. Let's offer him 0.9 times 7.525. 7.525. So that's 6.77. So in real life, I don't know if I'd want to do 8 years, but I'm finding that these guys want stupid raises, and if you do short term, and so and the other thing, so previously where I haven't done long-term contracts, so for one, I didn't know what they would ask for, and second thing is I didn't know how rare some of these players would be, and do they call it two-way D? I forget what they call the D. But anyways, the defensemen that are kind of mixed, they're not offensive, not defensive, they're the mixed ones. Them or offensive defensemen from the computer-generated players are extremely rare. Well, good ones with those characteristics. So based on that, I really, really want to lock these guys up long-term at a reasonable cap hit. So that's what we're doing, both with Kiviharu and Valcor. So now the one thing that's a bit unfortunate is Kiviharu. He's 24 and only 83 overall, whereas Valcor's 83 at 19. So Kiviharu's kind of developed slowly, but he's still better than our alternatives. He's young, so I'd rather that than some. Like, I could get more guys like Chronic and whatever, but I'd rather get a young guy and develop him because it's similar overall anyways. So, oh, and I forget I don't even know which hand he shoots. He's a left shot. Does he play just left? Yeah. Anyways, people can play on their off wings. So we locked out there. not asking for anything crazy. In all likelihood, we're going to sign him at some reasonable contract. So that's a good start. So we can erase him off of our list. Okay, now there was a number of things I was thinking of. So do we trade some of our guys in some sort of massive package to pick up like a guy like McDavid for 1 year? Because I think McDavid had 1 year left on his contract. And then trade him in his expiring year. There's other guys like that I looked at. I think I did all this. I don't think I did it on stream. I think I did it after. But like Kyle Connor's another great one. He's got 3 years. 10.5 expensive, but we've got the space. I mean, it's good value for what he is. The other problem, though, is it expires when he's 36, and that's where you start to get some dip in trade value in overall and things like that. So maybe the time has passed where I could get guys like that. One I discovered again that I really did miss out on was, I think he was with Chicago. Heischer, 8.4, 91 overall. Like, his production's crazy good. I really did miss out on that. So I regret not signing him. Now we could trade for him is what I was getting at. But there's some other younger guys too I've been looking at. So I don't know what I'm going to do. So I kind of want to trade based on the number of guys I have. So we've just discovered our D is now sorted out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. D. Depth, we might trade him and get somebody else. I don't know what the plan is there. But we're done on our D. Forwards, we've got Judry for a year extra, so 2 years. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 core guys. We don't really want to go more than 9 of young guys that we plan or at least hope to re-sign and extend and keep with us for a while. We don't want to have more than 9 because with the offensive coach, you roll 3 lines. The 4th line doesn't play much. So the 4th line, it really doesn't matter who's there. Ideally, we're going to try to get guys that are great, like we had Eriksson Ek at like 9 million playing 4th line minutes. But ideally, we're going to be all these like super cheap contracts playing up in the lineup, and then these massive contracts that we'll sign, keep for as long as we need to, and then trade them. So a great example is we just traded them now because it just didn't match up with what we were doing. And so I decided to go with them first to trade. So because we have 8 guys, what I was getting at is what would be ideal is if we get guys that we can throw down to junior so we don't eat up any years of their contract, and it leaves us the ability to, so since they're not playing up in the lineup, that means there's a vacant spot, which means we can either keep one of these guys till the end of the year or trade for a new guy that's going to lock up a spot. And if we get a couple junior guys, then basically they're going to be our contingency plan if these guys ask for too much money. So like, let's say we have 2, 3 junior guys. 2 or 3 of these guys want crazy contracts. We bring them up, trade these guys, and then we're still back at even. So anyways, so that would be ideal. The problem, I already know the answer, is that there's only one junior guy we can pick up. Bernier, I think in theory we could put down to junior again, but he's too good for us to really do that. 84 overall, you just can't do that. If you have any guys that are like 80 overall, it kind of makes sense, but anything basically above 82 I would still even consider putting to junior. But anything above that, you pretty much should be playing them, in my opinion. And one other thing I noticed after the stream that's really awesome is these guys are left wing center combos. We have a center right wing. So we've got a lot of flexibility and a lot of extra centers. Not that I've found that playing centers on the wing doesn't really have any impact, but the more it's accurate, the better the performance is and stuff like that. So, anyways, so now I think the next most important thing is to get that junior guy. So we're going to be trading for the first overall pick from this past draft. And it's not a bad thing to wait till after the draft. So if it's not a franchise player, in all likelihood, the trade value is going to be approximately the same or less than the pick value if you traded for the pick before the draft. So in this case, actually, we're not going to be spending much more, in all likelihood less, to get this player now after the draft versus if we tried to get the pick before the draft. So we're going to be getting this guy, and because we're running out of stuff, give me a sec actually. So we had 8 plus 3 is 11. So in theory, these guys although they're like way better, I could play them third and fourth line so that they don't take away from the other guys. The thing with the defenseman, though, is we know 100% that he's just not going to play because we've got 6. So I think he's the optimal guy to trade. It looks like it's basically 1-for-1, but we'll see if we can squeak out some more. In all likelihood, it's going to be that 1-for-1 like we just had. So the good thing about this trade is there's no impact on our active roster, which is why it was the next step. So first it was to pick up, to solidify our D, because there was still one spot remaining. And then now it's that extra guy, so we're going to have to give up more, actually. Let's try this first, actually. So 6. And the reason why I was doing that is because you see how these are all black. People don't want the picks. If you can trade into current years, then then they're better value technically. Let's see, 6 and 7, 4, 3. Pretty sure somewhere in here it's going to go through. Sweet. So we got rid of those picks that are more difficult to move. We got the guy we wanted. I'm also debating on this Calgary pick. Actually, I'll have to double check where they're at. So I was waiting for people to retire. The problem is that I think I remember seeing that they didn't keep all the guys. So maybe the timing that I was waiting for is actually not going to be good. Oh, they still have 1 year. So I don't know for sure if they'll re-sign them. So it's actually probably better if I trade it to next year's pick, which I don't know. Is it everybody? Oh, basically the entire franchise. Ugh. So because all the contracts are expiring, I think I'm actually going to go for next year's first instead of waiting. 1 for 1. I mean, it was pretty certain it wasn't going to go. Second for third. And I know we're losing value, or well, losing assets to get what we want, but I think it's important to get that pick. I am surprised that it hasn't gone through yet. Huh. No way. Do we have anything to trade otherwise? Oh, didn't we have that goalie still? We do. And they want him too. He's not good enough to do or to make any impact, so I'm okay with that. Because we're trading that, I just need to make sure I'm not going to crazy lose out on the value by offering far too, or well, asking for far too much, so go through the motions again. It's a good thing I remembered about that goalie there, because I almost gave up on the trade. Because I don't want to trade somebody that's going to make them better, because then it defeats the purpose with that pick. And I might have even had this pick before. No, I couldn't have, because I probably would have traded it to someone else. There we go. We clear out a few assets to get something more optimal. Also, it brings it to closer to today's date, which I think is beneficial. If we get too far in the future, there's too many things that could happen. So, for example, we were hoping that they would all retire, but the thing is if they're not even with the team, then it doesn't really matter. The team could be dramatically different. So, I think a horizon of like 2 seasons for the first round picks. I don't think I should go further than that, unless they're signed to long term, which bring them up to those retiring years. So another thing where I think I've learned a better way to do things here. So anyway, so that's that. We can go save again. What else did we need? Oh yeah, now it's the we picked up that junior guy, right? There he is. Okay. Oh, we gotta sign him. My bad. I pressed over. Cool. Whoops. The other thing that sucks is that you can't see the line fit at this point. It's pretty frustrating. I gotta go resave. Okay, so that's another thing off our list. All right, so since we have 8 forwards that are playing, one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We want one more player in our top 9. And so I've got a list of guys, and to be honest, all of them would be good. So it's kind of difficult. There's different reasons for different guys. So an interesting guy. So this guy is available for, so he hasn't been signed. The problem is, so his potential is elite low, which I don't like that. One thing because I noticed this after the stream, there's forward line 3, so he's kind of, well, in personality things good. So there's basically all positives there. Preferably you don't want a guy playing that low in the lineup. But I saw that and I'm like, penalty killing lines. Oh, let's just have a look. 92 defensive awareness. So we have had decent penalty kills in the past. But this guy in particular, if we pick him up, well, not only is he a sniper, so he's not just a defensive player, but he's also got that really good defensive play. So he might be a perfect depth player. And I kind of like this guy as the first best option. And the other reason tied to that is, so because he's unsigned, we know from looking at the free agents what he wants to sign for. Now I forget what his overall was, so we're going to have to find him. Kozhvinikov? Is that the right guy? Yeah. Oh, Kozhevnikov, sorry, because I knew I was saying it wrong. So the biggest benefit right here is, so yes, we're trading for an unsigned player, but we know what he's asking for, 6.2, and that is nothing. That's peanuts. For a solid guy we could get locked up long term. He wants 4 years. Maybe we can extend that into 8 and still have it like, 7 million or something. He's young. His performance has been great. 51 points in 69 games. Otherwise, decent performance. So, I mean, for fit with our team would pretty much be ideal. Now, ideally, I say it would be ideal, but ideally you'd want, a first line super all-star. But this guy's actually, I think, more multi-purpose and kind of helps with our weaknesses. So I really like that idea. So I'm not going to think more about it. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Low trade value too. So now what do we trade with? So after the trade, I'm going to show you some stuff that you could be like, oh, why didn't you do that instead? but I'll explain, so just give me a sec here. So I don't actually have a good thing to trade with. What's our picks like? So Florida, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh for sure is going to be a good pick. That Florida one I think might not be. Or it's unknown. So they are conservative seller. They have $8 million in cap space. Their team isn't that good though. And they're in our division too. I think in our division. Is Florida? Oh yeah, Metropolitan. So they're definitely not in Metropolitan. So they're in our division. They're going to be playing us. They're going to get more losses. So, and they've done really bad the past few seasons, and they're not getting better. So then maybe I should keep that pick. So I was debating on using that to pull off this trade. How is Arizona's team? Not very good. Do they still have their pick? Yes is the answer. What's their goalie like? Not very good / mediocre. There's also that Booze guy. The problem is that he doesn't fit with anything. Or, well, we don't know what his fit is actually. In theory, he could work. And worst case, it's just like stored value. Because I think he was a junior guy. Yeah. So we could just trade for him. So the reason this is difficult right now is because they don't want our lowest value guy that we need to trade, which is Gamble. And I don't want to lose. So trading somebody that's green makes it where you lose less in the trade. So we're kind of stuck where we need to trade Gomez. Can't do Ollie and we can't do Gamble. So if we're doing that, then we need to get more back, which means that, like I said, we could get that junior guy and use it as stored value by just sending him down to junior. So Gomez for Booze and that guy Kozhnikov. Wait. Kozhnev. I had it right before. Kozhevnikov. It's funny because looking at its smaller font made it harder for my brain to process. So I think even as this is, and we could go for that first pick too. So do I go for Booze or the first pick? Because the problem is, so if the pick decreases in value, then we lose partially on the trade. But if I trade for this guy and some other stuff, that's not going to be the optimal matchup of. Oh, and Gomez is going to make them better too. We're taking away goals from Kozhevnikov. Jeez. Yeah, this one's tough. And he could also increase in value, that defenseman. This one's tough. You know what? I think I'm going to go for the pick. I don't have any other workarounds, do I? I think the pick is actually the same value as the player, or similar at least. Let's see, because we're still below. Oh, this might be... I forgot, so this is a great reminder. So remember when we traded high value guys and we could have gotten way more than we thought we could get? This might be one of those cases. So I'm going to try something crazy like this. And we're going to work down from there. I'm glad I remembered that. Because I might be able to get all this. I mean, in all likelihood not, but you never know. Maybe if we add this... It'd be pretty crazy if we got all of it. Do we have anything else? None of those guys. Cholowski. If any of this goes through, this would actually be ideal. No. Okay, so maybe we're reaching too much. Because I don't think we have anything else that we can trade. Everything else makes their team better. We don't want to do that if we're going for the pick. If that's the case, then maybe we just go for player. Doesn't seem... Because like I said, we might be able to get more, so I don't think I'm gonna... Let's do that. Third, just in case. problem with the booze guy is we don't know what his fit is. So he could turn out fitting ideally, but we have no idea. Alright, so we were able to get more value, not by any crazy amount, but a little bit more. So that booze guy we're going to send down to junior, and now we've got our top 9 forwards. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have to sign him though. So the trade's done. We can go save. So yeah, this is a neat little workaround. Like I was saying about taking a look at free agency and then figuring out what they want, trading for them, and then whoops, I need to do this. And then signing them. So yeah, so see, it's the exact same as what he was asking for there. Whoa. 4 years, we extend it longer, and he wants less money. It's the first time I've seen that, well, or at least that I recall, because it's never the case. Sweet. Okay, well, we'll do that then. So 6.375 times 0.9. 6375.9. And this actually is now going to accomplish that goal of long-term stability for our players. At least we're getting more to the core, which is fantastic. Oh, I almost offered it, but without adjusting it. So it's 5.7375. So that rounds up to 575, 8 years. One way, yes. Sweet. Alright, so now, just out of interest, let's see what we have in terms of stability of our team long term. So we have unknown, unknown, unknown. Basically, if it's 3 years or more, I'll kind of consider it locked in, a core, however you want to put it. So we've got 1, 2, kind of 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be 7. So we'll have 7 of 9 core players, basically. We have 3 at 5 years, 3 at 3, and then 3 at 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we've got an extra guy. So one of those guys we would eventually have to get rid of. And we don't know how these guys are all going to pan out, the 2-year guys, because we'll know next offseason. And they're all the highest value guys as well. So Judry, who knows what he's going to ask for. Martins, he was very, very reasonable before. I think we signed him 3 years at $2 million, and then he turned out being a Conn Smythe winner. So I'm hoping that he doesn't go crazy, but it's within his rights to ask for something pretty big. But based on the previous one, it seems like they would probably have some sort of like anchor to the player. So in other words, where when they ask for extensions, or when you offer them extensions, however you want to put it, they've got this anchor where this guy's reasonable, this guy's not reasonable, and then so there's going to be this baseline salary, and if the anchor is a reasonable, or for a guy that's willing to accept a reasonable contract, then it's going to be anchored to the low end of what they could get. And so, because for example, if he asks for $9 million, I'm perfectly comfortable with that because now $9 million is kind of our threshold. Whereas like Ollie and stuff was asking for too much. Same with Gamble and Gomez that we just got rid of. So, but anyway, so we have 9 guys now, which creates a problem now because we have 2 guys that are extremely good that we're not keeping. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. -1 because Whitmore's going away, so that's 8 and 9 with him. So now what do we do? So the first instinct is to trade these guys for first round picks. Or prospect guys that, again, we kind of use as stored value. So we've got that other D guy that he's going to either fit or he's going to be stored value. Because I didn't trade for the draft pick, did I? No. Okay. And that's probably the best thing to get back, and the reason is because we don't want players to play, and then draft picks, we don't know what's going to happen. So maybe with Ollie, we get a first round pick and a store of value, and then Gamble a first round pick, something like that. This one's tough. And because the problem is where we trade these guys to, the team's going to be better. The other thing, because I was going to go over this, so there were some other options that we could have went for, all of which might seem like I'm crazy to not have gone for them. Sulzer was an option, 18, 81 overall. There's a couple of factors. One, he can't be sent to junior because he's a European prospect. 2, he's 81, so he's not an ideal fit. 3, personality we don't know, and he would be third line, so he's not an ideal fit. But in terms of like generally speaking characteristics, he would be good. It's just a couple unknowns. This guy has been very difficult to say no to. So 85 points, playmaker, line 1 fit. The loyalty thing I'm kind of disregarding now. It's if they care about winning, I think is kind of, if that's in there, they're okay. 3 years, so there's really not much wrong. It's just the cap hit, kind of. So actually, that's a good point, because now with these guys that we're signing, we might not even technically be able to afford. So there's one. So that's, what was that, 6 million or something? Plus the goalie is 2 million. That's 8 million off the cap. So that brings us to 91. 91 plus basically 9 brings us to 100. And then right away we're right up against the cap and we can't sign any of these other guys. So it's just a long-term fit, I think. Now that we've done what we've done, he just doesn't fit. If he was like 6 years, his contract, then I'd be like, okay, well, it just means now we have a long-term stable player, but it's kind of, so it wasn't necessarily the reason, but now it is in fact the reason given what we've just done with everything else. So he couldn't, in the long run, no matter what, he really couldn't have fit. And then the last guy was Pikkarainen. He has an expiring contract. Looks like he'd be good. Line 3 fit. Defensive awareness is decent, but that other guy was way better, so that's why I kind of went with that guy. This guy's younger, so it really, between this guy and the other guy, it's more of a coin toss. And then that Sulzer guy is pretty much a definite no, just compared with all the rest. We could still go for him. We no longer own this year's Philly. We don't own any Philly picks anymore. If we brought, where does everybody else fit? So there's always injuries. So if we have one extra guy into the fourth line, it's not a waste of the player, I would argue, because in all likelihood he's going to play. So maybe we go for that guy. I don't know what he would want to sign for. We don't know if he actually is a fit, but he's an option. Then that Misa guy would have been a rental, basically. Okay, so what's the story here? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then both of those guys could theoretically go to the fourth. 84 overall is not that ideal for being on a fourth line, though. He's an 86. Well, one of those guys is a rookie, so it's not... can he go to junior? What's the rules on junior? Because maybe we just extend it one more year. I mean, we shouldn't, because he's 84 overall, but... Can he go one more? Because it would be awesome if he could. I think if you're under 20... Okay, time to research. Entry level slide. Where's the rule? When a player on an entry level contract is 18 or 19, as of September 15, their entry level contract is slide eligible, assuming that the game is correct. The player who signs an entry level contract at age 19 and then turns 20 before December 31st is not slide eligible. So it depends on his birthday, which of course we have absolutely no idea. But in any case, it's besides the point. So basically, if he's 19 at the start of the season, we can send him to junior. If he's not, we play him. It's kind of that simple. So then, basically, it's a bonus if we can send him to junior, and if we can't, whatever. So then, in that case, how do we decide to do this? So we're not going for their pick. So then actually, I don't know if it makes any difference. Was it Gamble that was the Conn Smythe winner? Yeah. Do they have other things that we can send to junior? That guy, no. Not really. Any goalies? No. So Pekarainen for Gamble, I guess. What else can we get? Second round pick? Probably not. Oh, they have like no picks this year. Let's just try a second just in case. So again, we don't really know what we're going to get with Pekarainen. But we know that we're not able to extend Gamble. They're basically the same overall. Performance maybe not as good for Pekarainen, but let's try it this way. All right, 1 for 1. Not ideal, but that's fine. Now let's see if we can extend him. So first we'll save. $7 million, 5 years. Not too crazy. If we increase a lot, it's still reasonable. It's a 500,000 jump. 3. A good way, kind of, this is something I remember the last time I owned the game, so NHL 14. A good way to determine if you're getting fleeced or not is how much their contract asking price increases. So that was 200,000-ish, 200,000-ish, 275, 300. That one's 500. 8 years brings us to 29. So it's between 7 and 8. 7's reasonable. 8, it's just a cap hit, but 8 years from now, $8 million cap hit, I'm pretty sure is not going to be bad. To have a guy locked up that long term, I'm okay with it. And so, I mean, every time I look at this number and I'm like, oh, well, it's going to be 8 million. Well, no, technically not, because I always multiply by 0.9, so 5. So 8025 times 0.9 equals 722. So it's actually 72225. So this rounds up correctly. So 7225, 8025.9 looks good to me. So this is so much better than the other options we had. If he'll accept it, that's another story. We don't know, but it's night and day trying to negotiate like a $7-8 million contract versus a $13 million contract of $14 million. Some of these guys, it's crazy. Okay. Now, one thing I just thought of that I didn't really think of. Do we have that cap space to even do that? Just in future years. So what was that? 7 plus 6 is 13 plus 6 is 20. Let's round up to 21. 23 with the goalie. And there's nobody else, I believe. Oh, we have him too. So then maybe technically this won't allow us to do it. Oh, if we trade that, what did I say? So we were at 21 plus whatever he is. I think it's 7 million for him. Let's go back. So we'll add this guy first. So I think it was 6 for him. But we'll say 7. 7 plus, let's say 7 again, 14. Plus 7 is 21. Plus 7 is 28. Plus 2 for the goalie is 30. So I think we're okay still. But what we should do to be sure is get rid of Cholowski. Um, six, 3. So wait, maybe we're actually totally okay because it says 63 million for the following year. And then 63 plus 28 is like way below anyways. So I think now, given the situation we're in, I would say it would be wise, for one, for us to trade Cholowski. Second, for us not to compete for free agents till we know what that situation is with everybody. Which is a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing because we could have guys locked up long term, which is better than anything. But bad because we might not be able to get free agents, which is kind of part of our strategy anyways. So anyways, we'll deal with that, or we'll deal with the consequences once they happen. We won't get ahead of ourselves here. The other thing is some of these guys we're going to be trading at some time soon because they're aging. So Hronek in a couple of years, Provorov in 1 year. Is that it? Hronek, Provorov. That's about it. But anyways, these guys aren't critical. We can fill those spots. So yeah, it's always going to be this it's like I described in that series where I developed a management strategy for NHL GMs. It's like this staggered or like a step ladder where you're constantly having some contracts expire, some ones began, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so it should all work out. I'm not monitoring it with any crazy specificity or anything like that. I can tell pretty much everything's kind of lining up okay. And then worst case, I just adjust as I go. So like I said, if we have to trade Hronek or the other guy that I just mentioned before, Provorov. Okay. So that's another step done. Now we have to figure out what to do with Ollie, because I think he's the last guy we need to sort out. So Valcor we offered, Pekarainen we offered, Kiviharu we offered, Kozhevnikov we offered, and there's nobody else. So Cholowski and Ollie, we need to sort. Oh, and that's the other thing I completely forgot. We're clearing 7.9 million in cap space. I didn't even factor that in, so we're more than fine. Why was I even bothering? It escaped me if I forgot. Okay, so ideally, 2 players, store of value. That we can trade at a future date. Preferably high value and certainly shouldn't play. So like goalies would be a good thing to target. A guy like this would be good to target. Just the trade value is a bit low. So we want something high. Who's this guy? So he's a guy we definitely don't want. And he's got years left. So he's an option. We could also pick up this Gweet guy. And then already we're pretty close to the trade value for what we'd be giving up. So Chicago, I'm going to write a list here. Oh, and I can clear out this other list I have. So Chicago is one. Palmieri, I think he's already played NHL, so. Oh, and he wouldn't have qualified. Lidman, I think he's Euro. Yep, so he can't be sent down. And that's a big thing about junior players where their value is noticeably higher is because you can send them to junior. It's something to always remember. If you play this game differently than me and you actually draft people to develop, well, I guess that also applies in the way I play, but people that can go to junior have really good value because you can delay their start of their NHL career and all that. So far, he's probably Euro. He is. He's already played, I think. He's probably Euro. Yeah. Russia, same thing. So it's only looking like Chicago's got what we want. Slide Chuck, what's your story? USHL doesn't qualify, so Chicago it is. I'm just gonna make sure quickly that I didn't miss anything. The other thing I'm going to have a look at before I decide on Chicago is goalies, because sometimes there's good trade value stored in goalies. So what I'm scanning for right now is 18 or 19 with high trade value. Okay, so the answer is no. Now we need to check goalies. So the only thing that's going to change our mind is if we find some goalie with like crazy high trade value. Which there shouldn't be anybody. Who's that? Who's this? Oh, but he's not going to be NHL ready for a while. What's his story anyways, just to see? It looks pretty good. It's just he's going to take probably a while to develop. What was his pick? 8th. It's a couple years ago. Some guy we should monitor. I'm not gonna like add him to the list or whatever, but keep that in the back of my mind. I always review this stuff anyway, so I don't need to write it down or memorize, because I'll see it again. Okay, so Chicago is the answer. And we want this guy. We want this guy. He's got 3 years left, junior. Just need to double check that we're picking up guys that are junior eligible. So in all likelihood, this won't go through, but again, remember the maybe there might be another guy to go for. Yeah, the high value trade play or high trade value players to always try to get more than what you're offering. Even though you're supposed to typically lose on trades, there's a chance that you could get more than what you are offering technically. Is there anything else I like the look of? What's his story? Don't bother. Sonnenberg, another guy we had before that I think he's asking for 12 million, something stupid. Good luck. Never gonna have anywhere to play. Mapletoft was defensive. Alright, so we'll try this plus, what else can we see? Let's do, did they have another second? Our second, we'll try this. So again, clearly we're asking for more than we're giving, but because of past experience, I know that there's a possibility we get more than we expect to get. And the other thing about trading for these like store of value prospects, and this is maybe something I should have been doing sooner, is sorry, one sec. they don't deteriorate typically, or they shouldn't at least. Whereas trading for picks, so what I should maybe do moving forward, and I should have maybe done before, was rather than trading for picks, I should trade for prospects and then use those prospects once the picks are determined, so the order, and then trade those picks for the, or sorry, trade those prospects for the picks. I think that's probably a better strategy to never, or to decrease the amount of value you're losing in the long run. The problem then is that you're going to run into is that time clock to make the first overall pick. To pull off that trade, I think it's in 3 minutes, is a bit difficult. And like I said, so I did the cheating. Theoretically, what you want to argue is cheating, where I just, if I run out of the clock, I try again, run out of the clock, try again. So reload the previous save point, because to be honest, to expect somebody to pull off a trade in 3 minutes is nuts, because I would never put it to the last second like that. Oops. I thought for sure this would have gone through already. Now, I'm saying all this and I have those first round picks right now. So maybe I should be doing that. Maybe follow my own advice. But to be honest, the fact that I've already traded for them, I don't want to trade again and then lose even more value. So it makes no difference at this point. But moving forward, I think I should trade for prospects as opposed to first round picks. Oh yeah, we have Cholofsky we need to get rid of anyways. So, I mean, we don't need to get rid of him. It's just, but he doesn't have any trade value with them. What do we do then? This one's tough. Do they have... Maybe... No, that doesn't really make sense either. And there's no other prospects, I don't think, that have higher trade value. Unless I trade for that goalie. I think he was with Montreal. Problem is his contract situation. He's still got 3 years. Toronto would have too many goalies. And Ollie's not green. Maybe what we do is trade for him. Then repurpose him. Before I do that, I should probably check what they're looking for, because he's a defenseman. And if they want one of our young defensemen, they probably fits. The answer is yes. So we just essentially pull off a two-way trade, or a two-team trade, whatever you want to call it. For him, we'll need to do something on the rest. So this, oops, this, this. Just because he's high value, I'm gonna go for more. This actually might go through soon based on that last response. I didn't read it, but because it gave something not typically negative, see, the value is too far off. So it's actually probably going to go through after we remove this 7th. Close. The good thing is these lower picks, they don't really change in value much, so look, our cupboards are pretty full again. 5 first round picks, couple seconds, and some miscellaneous. Okay, so now we don't need to do this. To be honest, I could just keep what I have, but given that we've seen this goalie, why not get him into our system? So we haven't played this guy, so we'll get rid of him. And there's the perfect guy that we figured they would want. So this could go through as is, but I'm going to just ask for more just in case. If this goalie didn't have 3 years left, I probably wouldn't be doing this because we're losing more value. But because of his potential and his trade value, he's probably going to develop into something good. And so as a result, I kind of want him on in our franchise. So we have to give up more. The other thing, because we're picking this guy up, we're actually going to get rid of our current goalies. And the reason is so that this guy can actually play in the AHL. We might actually have to give up a lot for this guy. I was just thinking because they probably don't want to trade him. Oh, we're getting close, it seems. Oops, wrong thing. Jeez. I thought we were close, but maybe not. Alright, so again, maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I kind of want to get this goalie. Also, I didn't really want to keep that second round pick for this season because eventually I would have to trade it anyway, so now it's done. So we should have everything sorted now. So they still have turn. We offered him. I forgot about Cholowski, which I could have actually traded there. Maybe I keep him. Did okay, didn't he? 7 points in 21, which is quite good. 2 points in 9, plus 6. How much cap space do we have? Tons. And when we sign the guys, we should be good. So we gotta trade this guy too. All right, and then otherwise, what do we have going on? So we have either a goalie we're going to keep in the long run or stored value for Koivunen. We have our 3 NHL goalies. Those 2 AHL guys we're probably going to have to trade so that Koivunen can play. Martin, Strelly, Nyquist, Valcourt, Bernier. So Booze is stored value, which is basically a first round pick. That's it. So we basically have a first round pick of stored value, and you could argue 2 if you count the goalie. But like I said, we might keep that goalie there. Okay. So that's all the trading I think we're going to do. And see, my concern is from signing the guys, we won't have cap space, but I think we do, and I think we do a lot. There's nobody there unsigned. There's nobody there unsigned, and we're at 74 million. 74 plus 2 is 76 plus 76 plus 7 is 83. 83, and the cap is 102, so that means we should still have 20 million. Isn't that ridiculous? So we should still have 20 million of cap space to sign free agents. And we're almost done this stream. I guess all we're doing is trades. I didn't think it would be just that, but 20 million. We have everybody, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we've got 10 forwards, hopefully 9 if we can send Bernier back down. So we need 3 forwards. 2, 3, 4, 6. Kind of 70. Just depends on if we're keeping Cholowski. So I basically need 3 forwards. That's about it. Stupid thing. 3 forwards. About 20 million we can spend. So the good thing is we can probably wait. So, for example, Zadina, nobody's offered. Forward line 1, though. McTavish. Preferably we pick up guys that can fit on our third and fourth line. Third line in particular. So there's a chunk of guys that haven't been offered anything. Thompson we've had before. He's done well with us. And I know he can fit on third well and second. I'm pretty sure he can fit on fourth too. But he's too expensive. So a lot of the cheap guys, as you can tell, there's no teams interested yet, which buys us time to wait for the results of the contract offers we made. Says you can do penalty kill, but his penalty kills, or sorry, his defensive awareness is just 83. I think I saw 83. So yeah, look, see, no team's interested, essentially, for all these guys. So then what we could do is 3 $6 million players, basically. Approximately that. God, wouldn't that be nice? I think we'll be able to. And like at 80 something overall, 85 or so. But since I'm going to take a couple minutes extra since I had to pause briefly. Just sign him 1 year to keep RFA. I think so. 1 year, 2-way. Top 6 forwards. $25. So this guy we're just doing because his potential's pretty high compared to the rest. 25, isn't that a bit old? Should I just do it anyways? No. This guy's tempting. This guy for sure. Because he's lower than our main guy. We currently have not starters. So I think they're fringe starters. It's tempting to go for this guy. He's 71, 22 years old. He's going to take away ice time from the other guy. Maybe keep him for 10 games and then trade him. Let's do that. One, two, we can't do another one because then we'll have too many. So we'll go for those two guys. Cool, let's save again. All right, so that's where we'll leave it. So I think we're basically set to... Basically, I think we're going to sim up, or sorry, advanced days, sim forward, whatever you want to call it, up to where we sign our extensions or initial contracts or whatever from the guys that we offered, and then from there offer the free agent contracts. We're going to have to kind of balance both at the same time because well, currently there's not really any offers for the guys that we would probably be targeting, but there could be, so we might have to do both simultaneously. Yeah, the problem is I don't want to have it where we offer a contract for the guys we want to keep and then we just don't have cap space because we just signed this other guy, and then that messes around with our negotiations, and then we have this guy that we need to trade after we just signed him, and so so basically ideally we'd get all our guys signed and then we start signing other people, but like I said, we might have to balance both at the same time, but we'll see. So anyways, I would say a productive stream, just in terms of total stuff that was accomplished. There wasn't, I guess, that much, but, you know, pulling off the trades and stuff, I take my time to make sure I don't get fleeced on everything. So, so it takes time, I guess. But yeah, so we'll leave it there. If you like the stream, hit the like button, share with your friends, subscribe, turn on notifications. The channel homepage has upcoming streams on regular NHL content. Nothing scheduled at the moment. Waiting for the rest of the offseason to resolve itself. For things I can't schedule ahead of time, like franchise mode, that schedule's in the About section of the channel. We're going to almost certainly switch to 9:30 p.m. Eastern. The day that that's going to take place, I don't know for sure yet, but I'll let you guys know. And then we should have a consistent schedule moving forward from there. But I'll keep you guys posted. Otherwise, be a pros whenever I have time or feel like it, which I just haven't had time, so sorry about that. Any comments, leave them in the comments, suggestions likewise, and we will see you guys, I believe, tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern. Okay, bye.